Hello, and welcome to the ninth floor. My name is Michael. This program is named after the ninth floor of 42 West Madison Street, Chicago, home of Chicago Public Schools. The ninth floor is the lair of an evil cabal of bungling incompetence, malcontents, and venal city employees. Throughout my career as a Chicago public school educator, I had never had the experience of a disciplinary hearing. There did come a time in my life where I experienced a personal crisis. And as this crisis made my life unmanageable, I left teaching for 3 years. Flush out the headgear. During those 3 years, my teaching license expired. When I returned to teaching, I was a day-to-day substitute, and I was working on an expired certificate, which is not that uncommon. It happens. There's a remedy for that. The remedy is to take a certain number of classes and your certificate is restored. I was taking those classes and working as a day-to-day substitute when I took an assignment at this cesspool of a school. I had a preschool. I had worked 2 previous assignments at this school, once in the preschool, and once in the 7th grade. I was fond of the place. And that is where I was spotted by a money-grubbing, criminal-minded, evil-hearted representative of the Chicago Teachers Union. And she saw the smiling, naive, oh so happy to be here having fun Negro, and she hatched her plot. My career didn't end when the low-rent, no-rent, hood-rat mommy knowingly and willingly made a false report to the school principal. My career didn't end when the Office of Employee Relations suborned perjury and signed my termination letter with full knowledge that I was innocent of all charges and specifications. No. My career ended on that night when my phone rang. And the person on the other end said, "Hi, Mr. Gleason. This is that cesspool preschool that you like so much, and you are too stupid and naive to know what is about to happen to you. Are you available tomorrow?" And I said, "Yes, I am. Thank you for calling. I will see you tomorrow." That was the end of my 33 years. That was the end of my 33 years. They were waiting for me. He's here. Everybody know what to do? Anyone want out? No? Okay. End of the day, you make the call. Career over. 33 years career. "33-year career gone in one day." Now, it's very important to understand the atmosphere in Chicago at this time. Every 12 years, the union threatens a strike. So the union was threatening a strike. And at the Chicago Public Schools, the HNIC, Barbara Byrd Bennett. You remember her? BBB. Pause, Grady. BBB. The Chicago Public Schools HNIC, Barbara Byrd Bennett. You remember her? She was stealing a lot of money from Chicago Public Schools. Michael goes off script. Remember Barbara? BBB? Barbara Bird Bennett? Rom's little BBB? His pet BBB? She just got out of prison after serving 4 years for the money she stole. Her scheme, which had to be elaborate, steered $23 million in no-bid contracts to her former employer called SOUPS, which is an organization that trains people to be school superintendents. Why is Chicago Public Schools spending money to train somebody to be a school superintendent when we already got one? And for that, they gave her a kickback of 10%. That translated to about $127,000 for each of her twin grandchildren. So if you want to know the intimate details of that story, of that sorry-ass chapter in CPS history, you can Google it. But that was the atmosphere. Everybody felt that they could just do anything and get away with anything. So therefore, I do not pay attention to voices that would say to me, Mike, your conspiracy theory is really over the top. To which my response is, thank you. Now go commit an act of procreation in a solo fashion. Coolo. I was identified, selected, targeted, and lynched. All done with the hope of getting a few $1,000s for each of the conspirators. So how does it work? The mother makes a complaint that Mr. Gleason did this thing to her daughter. Next, the mother files a civil suit against Chicago Public Schools for the illegal actions of one of their employers, in this case, Mr. Gleason. The mother collects a settlement check from Chicago Public Schools as a result of the court case. The money from the settlement is divvied up between the conspirators. And finally, Michael goes to prison, and if he survives, has to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. So I like to start off these shows with a definition so we understand what we're talking about. Suborning perjury. What is suborning perjury? Suborning perjury. Under federal criminal law, 5 elements must be proved to convict a person of subordination of perjury. It first must be shown that the defendant or witness made an agreement with a person to testify falsely. There must be proof that perjury had in fact been committed and that the statements of the perjurer are material. The prosecutor must also provide evidence that the perjurer made such statements willfully with knowledge of their falsity. There it is. And finally, there must be proof that the procurer had knowledge that the perjurer's statements were false. Okay, so from episode 1, let's have a quick review. These are the 3 pages that ended my teaching career. And on these 3 pages, this mother perjures herself. This is where I worked that day. Okay? There's me. There's the children lined up behind me. Here's the teacher assistant. This is the hallway. This is the office. You can stand here, look down the hallway, and see the office. You can stand at the toilet and see the office. At the end of the day, I led the children, all the children behind me, with the teacher assistant in the back, led them. I made a right. She made a left. The children lined up here. They were picked up by their parents without incident. No child asked to use the bathroom. No child stayed behind. No child asked to use the bathroom, no child asked to stay behind. This was the end of my teaching career. This mother stated that upon entering the school, she did not see her daughter with the other students in the front lobby area of the school, and the rest of the students were being dismissed. Ms. Mother explained that the assistant teacher, classroom assistant, flunky assistant, told her that the daughter was still in the classroom because she needed to use the bathroom, which was located inside of the classroom. Perjury. That is perjury. And the Board of Education treats that as truth. There's suborning perjury. The mother said that she walked into the classroom. Here's where it goes south. Walked into the classroom inside the single-stall bathroom with her, and the child was sitting in the single-stall bathroom with her pants down, and Mr. Gleason standing in the doorway of the bathroom, peeking through the hinge of the door in the frame. The mother stated she did not want to question the daughter in front of Mr. Gleason and make her feel uncomfortable. Upon arriving at their home, the daughter began crying, and she described Mr. Gleason watching her as she used the bathroom and how uncomfortable it made her feel. That was all one paragraph. Why would the mother be questioning the daughter? I would think that this is what the mother was going to question. Hey, N-word, what the F are you doing standing there looking at my daughter like that? Don't you move. You better not move. Somebody call the police. Call the police. Somebody call the police. See, that makes sense. What's written here does not make sense. So that low rent, no rent mommy was lying. That's pretty obvious. But here's the investigator where she lies. Page 1, paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At approximately 5 o'clock, I interviewed Mr. Gleason via telephone. Mr. Gleason stated he could not recall how close he was standing near the bathroom door as Elle used the bathroom. That is a bluff. She is attempting to establish that, yes, I was in the room, but she's an idiot. She can't write to save her life. She could not write her way out of a middle-class essay assignment. And I'm sorry for all of the middle schoolers who I have offended, but this idiot can't write worth shit. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Mr. Gleason stated he could not recall. You don't start a statement like that. Mr. Gleason stated. What was the question? You're supposed to be a trained investigator? The investigator is lying. This is a lie. At approximately 5 o'clock, interviewed Mr. Gleason. Mr. Gleason stated that he could not recall how close he was standing near the bathroom as Elle used the bathroom. She never asked that question. So what was the question? We don't know. She doesn't want us to know. Mr. Gleason just stated it. And the way you frame it is like this. When asked, state the question. Mr. Gleason stated. And you use quotation marks. Dumbass. Middle schoolers know that. That's how you establish what the question is. But she don't want to admit because she never asked me that question. Then it says, Mr. Gleason does not recall how close he was standing near the bathroom as Elle used the bathroom. You never told me that child's name. You're not allowed to tell me that child's name. Because they don't want the perpetrator threatening the child or their family. Then you do it again in the same paragraph. Mr. Gleason also stated that the curtain in the bathroom had fallen multiple times throughout the day. This is called a blue dye test. I volunteered that information in our interview. I told her, I don't know what this girl is thinking, what these people are thinking, but is it possible that the children knocked over the curtain, they knocked over the curtain, And I'd help them put the curtain back up because they wouldn't let them close the door. They have a little curtain that hangs for privacy. That was in episode 1. I'm not going to keep going over that again. But then she puts it into the mouth of the child. On page 2, child states that while using the bathroom, the curtain, which hangs for privacy, fell over. That child wasn't in that room. Mr. Gleason wasn't in that room, and no parent came in that room. I question whether the parent even actually made these statements. I question whether the child made these statements. I believe dumbass who works for Fact Finders Group Incorporated in Matteson, Illinois, the investigator. I was hired by a charter school and then fired a year later. I started the investigation again. Only this time I noticed, under the name of the investigator were the initials FFGI. And just out of curiosity, I Googled it. And here it is. It stands for a detective agency called Fact Finders Group Incorporated. They're in Matteson, Illinois. There's their webpage. And under their clients, there it is, Chicago Public Schools. Chicago did not conduct their own investigation. They farmed it out to this shadowy, hole-in-the-wall detective agency. There's the investigator's name, Norellis Olivaria. CPS had no direct oversight of her. And here's the director, or the CEO, some guy named Kenneth Webb, FFGI. There's the file number, 5714, that's my case number. And he approved this investigation on March 8th, 2012. That is suborning perjury. Now comes possibly one of the biggest betrayals I have ever felt in my lifetime. I think as far as betrayal of trust, of just dereliction of duty, this one broke my heart. Like The Godfather Part 2. You broke my heart, Fredo. You broke my heart. My hearing to find out whether I'm going to go to jail or not, or whether I'm going to work or not. Well, I'm not going to jail because DCFS has already cleared me. This is very important to understand. By this time, I've already been interviewed by DCFS, and they said, this guy didn't do it. He's innocent. After a thorough investigation, we found the charges to be unfounded. Technically, I was supposed to take my black ass back to work. But I still got to go through the motions of the hearing. So I'm kind of confident, okay, because I've already talked to DCFS, they assure me, but I don't have the paperwork yet that says it. I meet my union rep the day of my hearing. I keep calling the teachers union. What are the charges? What is the report? What do you have? They insist they have nothing. So I meet on the day of the hearing. And that is the first time that I read this steaming pile of, that is the investigative memorandum. I almost went through the floor. And I said, there's no way they can do this to me. They're going to convict me on this. The union rep said, oh, yes, they will. Yes, they will. Now, I want you to listen. On the tape, what you're going to hear is her voice saying, insisting, we don't have it. So, the investigative memorandum. She comes in empty-handed. She does not have one piece of paper in her hand. Then I see they finally get me a copy of this. I'm ready to go through the roof. And she pretends like, well, we want another reschedule. Well, you can't have a rescheduled date. We're not going to reschedule. Now listen, as the proctor says, we mailed you, we faxed you the investigative memorandum. You had it. Listen to what she says.
Good morning. As I mentioned, my name is Alan Grossman. I'm the assigned hearing officer for this matter. This morning, today's April 9th, 2012. It's approximately 11:15 a.m. We're here for an investigatory conference from Mr. Michael Gleason, who is personally present and is also represented by Union Representative Antoinette Barnes. The matter was, this investigatory conference has been convened based on an allegation, as stated in Ms. Colston's letter dated March 28th, 2012 to Mr. Gleason, quote, this conference is based on an allegation that you intentionally watched a 4-year-old female student use the bathroom. The conference could result in the termination of your employment with Chicago Public Schools, as well as placement of a do not hire designation in your record, end quote. Prior to my turning on the tape recorder, there's an investigatory memorandum in the file, and it's my understanding that Ms. Barnes has received a copy and has had an opportunity to review it with Mr. Gleason. Is that correct, Ms. Barnes?
I just received a copy of the investigative memorandum. Those documents somehow did not make it to our office, and so you gave us a few minutes to go over it before this hearing.
Okay, so you have had an opportunity.
Let's listen to that one more time.
Prior to my turning on the tape recorder, there's an investigatory memorandum in the file, and it's my understanding that Ms. Barnes has received a copy and has had an opportunity to review it with Mr. Gleason. Is that correct, Ms. Barnes?
I just received a copy of the investigative memorandum. Those documents somehow did not make it to our office.
Then he asked her a second time. Listen to what she says.
Additional time, because my understanding was that you were going to just let Regina know when you were ready to proceed.
Well, we requested to reschedule this because we didn't have any documents.
Uh-huh.
And they assured us that they had submitted those documents to the Chicago Teachers Union. We have no record of our procedures. The documents are nowhere. They have not even been scanned in.
It took many, many months after I was terminated. They terminated me. So I petitioned the Board of Education. I said, I want everything that you have on me, everything you have pertaining to this case. And this is the package they sent me. Now you heard my union rep say, we did not get the facts. We did not get these documents. This is what the Board of Education sent me. And don't we want to know what it is? What do you know? It's the facts cover sheet. Yeah, the facts cover sheet attached to, guess what? The investigative memorandum. You see, on the facts cover sheet, the facts arrived in the union's office on March 30th. My hearing was scheduled for April 9th. How many days is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days from the time Board of Education sent you the investigative memorandum and my DCFS report. And you let it sit there in your office. I had a witness. after school, and those children were dismissed, I sat in that room and talked with the janitor. I sat in that room and talked with the janitor. School was still in session. I had time to bring a witness. Why did you lie? Why did you lie? Chicago Teachers Union. You insisted. Well, you couldn't have sent it because it means it would have been 5 pages. It says 5 pages right here. Pages, 5, including cover page. You set this whole thing up. Chicago Teachers Union, a fact finder group incorporated in Matteson, Illinois, you set the whole thing up. Low rent, no rent mommy, she was a pawn. Flunky teacher assistant, she was a pawn. It was you two officers. That parent couldn't contrive a whole web of lies like you did here. Throughout my research, I learned a lot. And one of the most important things I learned is that I'm not alone. There have been so many teachers screwed over by the Office of Employee Relations on the 9th floor of 42 West Madison. So, for you former teachers who have a story to tell, drop me an email. We will go over your documents. We will have them prepared. As you stay, we will not use sound bites, and you will not be interrupted. You will sit in a chair right next to me. You've got 3 cameras to tell your stories. Bring all the graphics you want. Thank you for allowing me into your home. Dr. Janice Jackson, Mayor Lightfoot, Attorney Kim Fox. Go visit the 9th floor.